Well, hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining our webinar this morning. I'm Allison Ford, Vice President here at the Headhunters, and I can see we've got a fantastic turnout for this edition of our webinar series. We really believe these webinars will help set you up for success in your job search and career, so really glad you're making time for it today. Today's webinar topic is networking for job hunting. Here are a couple housekeeping items before we get started. So we will have a question and answer period at the end of the presentation. And if you have questions, just type them into the chat panel and we'll address as many as possible at the end. You can choose to share questions with everyone online today, or if you prefer, choose to just ask them privately to the panelists by making that selection in the chat window. We invite you to sit back and take it all in. We'll take about 45 minutes today and then get you back to your busy days. There's no need to take notes because we're going to be sending an email. It will come out to you tomorrow to everyone who's attended, and it will have the link to the recording of this webinar and also include the audio and video recording of the slides. So now to introduce our special guest presenter, Ada Tai is from BadaB Consulting. Ada provides HR services and corporate training to companies and job search and career coaching to candidates. BadaB is a consulting firm based in Alberta, offering solutions in program management, enterprise architecture, HR solutions, organizational training, and career planning. Ada has an MBA from the U of A and a chartered professional in human resources, or CPHR, and a chartered manager designation as well. She's had 10 years experience working as an HR professional in many different industries and organizations, and is also an instructor at MacEwan University and Metro Continuing Education. Ada really enjoys mentoring U of A MBA students. Ada focuses on helping students and newcomers transition into working professionals and also helps experienced professionals achieve personal success in their careers. So we're very lucky to have her with us here today. Ada is going to walk us through how networking and job hunting in this economy can be tough. And as many professionals are looking for work, you need to differentiate yourself from the crowd. So networking might seem intimidating, but it really is an effective way to job hunt. Her webinar today is going to give you a fresh perspective and some practical tips for networking as a way to search for jobs and grow your career. So let's get started. Ada, over to you.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Ada. Thank you for the lovely introduction, Allison. I'm so glad to be here with you today. And with the line of work that I do, I see a lot of new graduates looking for work, people who got laid off in career transition looking for work, people who are thinking about changing jobs looking for work, and people who are looking for promotions are also looking for work. I talk to a lot of people who are looking for work, and the first question I typically ask them is, how do you job hunt? And unfortunately, most of them will tell me the traditional route of looking for work. You know, look for job boards, the Monster, the Workopolis, etc., and go to a job fair, go to the university alumni's website, read on newspaper, etc. So in the next 40 to 45 minutes, I'm going to walk you a tip that's it's underestimated often, is the networking. So today, I'm going to share some tips and tricks about networking for job hunting. Networking is truly important, but I believe you know that's a cliche because we often talk about it. The problem with people not taking advantage of networking is that most of people do not realize the importance of networking for job hunting as well as for career success. I got the opportunity to be fortunate to realize the value of networking very early on in my career, so I'm going to share some tips today. And then we'll also talk about what is networking and the channels of networking, and then finally some tips that you can take home with and start practicing on your own. How does that sound? Okay. We're just pausing here for 1 second so I can switch the headset. Just 1 second, bear with me, thank you. All right, so back to me again. So first of all, let me share with you about the importance of networking. So I got lucky, as I mentioned, that early on in my career, I had realized the importance of networking. After I graduated with my undergraduate degree from the University of Alberta, I was thinking about, okay, what exactly do I want to do? Now I have a degree. I wasn't really sure what I want to do for my career. And I somehow landed in an interest in human resources management. And since then, I started, I took a program in human resources management, but I had many options in choosing which school I was going to take that degree certificate through. At the end, I chose to do it through the continuing education at the University of Alberta because I knew that the people, the classmates that I was going to meet are mature students who have industry experience, are just looking to better themselves. And I took advantage of that. Lucky enough, I met lots of great HR working professionals through these classes. And one of them, I worked together in a group project. She was so busy with her HR manager job at that time, and I did most of the work. We got a really good grade out of that class. She was so thankful for my help, and then she referred me to my first human resources job. And that's how I started my HR career. So I took advantage of landing a job through networking with my classmates. I started doing consulting business about just over 2 years ago. And since doing consulting, networking is really something I live with every day. I spend lots of time doing networking so I can get my business name out there. And so 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago, I was a panelist speaker at one of the large events here in Edmonton. And one of the keynote speaker there, her name was Marie. And so I get a chance to shake hands and introduce myself after the event. And we really liked each other's presentation, and we found that there were great synergy that we can work on some business opportunities together. Since then, we worked on 3 business deals together, and we achieved success for both of our businesses. Networking opportunities are truly everywhere around us. Let me give you a fun example. A couple of years ago, I was shopping at Future Shop at that time, which is now called Best Buy. The sales gentleman was so nice. He didn't push me to buy anything. He was very knowledgeable and very, very friendly. After I made my purchase, I asked him if he was looking for any full-time opportunities, simply me being a human resources professional. And he said he was actually just graduated from the university and be interested in looking for a full-time sales opportunity. And fortunately enough, at the company I worked at that time, was looking for a salesperson. So I referred him for a job interview opportunity. And fast forward so many years afterwards, he's still with that organization, growing his career as a sales professional. My point here is networking opportunities are everywhere around us. You just don't know who you're going to meet when the opportunities will pop by your door. So pay attention to, do not lose the opportunities around us. So you've heard me talking for some time. I thought this is a perfect opportunity for me to get to know you a little bit. Our first audience polling question is, in your opinion, what do you think is the percentage of jobs that are typically not posted through the traditional or typical job search sites? If you can put in your numbers for us, that would be great. I'll be able to announce the results once I see all the ratings come in. Oh, wow. So 43% of people think that equal to or more than 70% of jobs are not posted through the traditional job search sites. You are intelligent. You will be correct. That's the correct answer. My point here is that most of the jobs that we can find are actually not posted through the traditional job sites. However, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, beginning of the webinar, most of the people I talk to are still looking through the typical job search sites. What does that mean? Most of us are chasing for less than 30% of the posted opportunities, which hugely increase the competition, while a small percentage of people are looking after the unposted job opportunities. Food for thoughts. Second question, can you tell us, in your opinion, why don't employers post jobs on these traditional job search sites anymore? Excellent. Again, majority of you are correct. All of the above would be reasons why employers don't post jobs on these traditional sites anymore. And especially in the economy situation that we're in Alberta, if an organization posted junior level positions, they're going to receive thousands of resumes. It's going to take a lot of time and effort for the recruiters or hiring managers to go through all the applications. So referrals are ways that organizations looking for candidates. There are also opportunities that are not posted because they're confidentially searching for candidates for potential opportunities. And so yeah, all of the above are correct answers. Perfect. So what I've learned through my HR career as well as consulting business is that networking is really an essential life skill. A social skill, but on top of that, it should be a life skill. It really should not start on the day that we're looking for a job, and it really should not end on the day that we get a job. Recently, I read this research about the people who got promotion opportunities quickly and successfully spend about 20% of their work days or work time on networking. So that includes socializing, politicking, networking within and outside of their organizations. I know that a lot of clients will tell me, or people I meet when I give presentations, that they will tell me, you know what, I don't see the return on my investment if I do networking. And then if I dig the question a little bit deeper, I say, so why don't you see the return on investments? A lot of them will tell me that, I'm shy, I'm reserved, I'm not confident, I'm laid back, or I'm just too busy. Well, networking is like investing into mutual funds or stocks. If we don't start playing with the mutual funds or stocks, there will definitely be no return on investment. Networking definitely takes time. There is no guarantee that as soon as we start networking with someone new, there is going to be a job or a job prospect landing on our lap very soon. The challenge here is that once we start practicing our networking skills, meeting new people, getting your name out there, getting people to know who you are, what you're capable of doing, eventually the opportunity will come to you unexpectedly. Therefore, when the opportunities do come, be appreciative. However, before the opportunity comes to your door, make sure that you take initiatives to say hi to people, introduce yourself, and let people know that you're looking for work. So networking, in my humble opinion, is not a competition of simply just collecting business cards. I've seen people who go to large-scale social events or galas, and they just collect as many business cards as possible, but they don't do much with it afterwards. I've also seen people who I meet at networking events or presentations, so on and so forth, and they collect my business card and they add me on LinkedIn, and that's the end of the story. There is no follow-up action. They don't do anything with me building this new relationship. So networking is not a game of collecting business card competition. It's also not just about adding someone new on your LinkedIn and sit there and let it sink. Networking is a process. It should foster exchange of information and ideas amongst people, amongst groups. And here, networking for job hunting, we are very clear about our objective is to build a professional relationship so that is going to boost our future business and employment prospects. Check in again with you. Question number 3. What channels do you use to network with others currently? So option 1 is through work. Option 2 is volunteer opportunities. Option 3 is through schooling. And option 4 is through social media. Option 5 is special occasions or social events. And option 6 is everyday life. Let's see your answers. Wow, most of you still prefer to do with everyday life networking. That's really innovative. That's great. That's what I believe in. And my philosophy is always that if I'm looking for work, I make sure everybody around me knows that I am looking for work. Otherwise, I already failed from the get-go. So speak a little bit about networking channels. I'm going to speak a little bit, share some tips with each one of these channels that I just asked you for your humble opinion. So start with people you already know. I'm sure that either you're a new graduate or a working professional or people who are in career transitions, you know someone who are currently working or who can share some industry insights with you. So take half a minute here, pick out a pen and paper, and write down 5 people's names that you already know who are currently working, can provide information that you're seeking for to help you with the potential of job opportunities. And also by these 5 people's name, the next thing you're going to write out is that what is the single one question, the critical question you're going to ask each one of these 5 people. It could be that, can you tell me more about your organization? I'd love to learn about your organization. Or if you're entering a new occupation, new field, you can ask your network that, I really would like to know how I can start building my career or getting my foot into the door into this industry. So what will be your critical question for each one of the 5 audience members? And the next thing you're going to write by these 5 names is that how you're going to contact them and by when you're going to contact them. So basically what I'm asking you to do is kind of give you a homework so that you start taking action with things that we're sharing here through this webinar. Creating an action list, a to-do list, and with a deadline. The second channel that a lot of people actually forget about or underestimate is the power through your current work or your past work opportunities. Your bosses, your colleagues in different departments, people that you met through work. It may be through training opportunities, you go to conferences in a different city. It may be that you're representing the organization and be on some committee force, that all these people you meet through these opportunities are potential networking networks through work. Do not underestimate the power of these people you can meet through work, especially if you want internal promotion. How about volunteer? I do volunteer because I believe in giving back to the communities. The benefit of using volunteer as a networking channel is that when you volunteer, you're putting in your time, efforts for free. So the volunteering organizations or people who you volunteer with really appreciate that effort. They put their guard down. It's easy to have a conversation with them. You meet all kinds of people through volunteering opportunities, not just restricted to one industry, one organization. You meet a variety of people. You get to ask one critical question you can think of to get to know them, to get to know their industry. If there is nobody that you think is of value that you've met through now volunteering opportunity, at least if you put in time and efforts and consistency, you'll get a good reference of the volunteering. I often say to my students when I teach at post institutions is that when you're a new graduate with limited work experience, guess who can be your references? Your instructors, part-time job supervisors, and your volunteer colleagues and supervisors. There we go. Schooling, we talked a little bit about it of my experience at the beginning of this webinar. School is also another great way to meet people. Instructors can be your networks. I still keep in touch with the students who graduate from my class, and they ask questions, and I also share my updates, and they become my networks. The classmates you meet, the alumni you meet, as well as the events you attend on campus. And social media. I don't have too many social media accounts, but I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and Facebook. I've grown my LinkedIn account over the last 10 years. I'm very diligent using LinkedIn every day, post things, share articles, congratulate other people and like their posts. I also post my own activities, presentations I do, my business, my professional achievements. I get people to follow me and I get people to like me. The more exposure you have on social media, the more you're getting your brand name out there. Special occasions, social events. Those could be, the job fair, training opportunities you attend, industry events, especially now the summer is here finally, and the weather is getting nice. Maybe you're going to play some golf tournaments or go swimming in a lake. You get to meet people in your community and outside the community. So all these special occasions, as well as galas and casual work after hour, happy hour kind of thing, it all counts towards special occasions. But one thing let me remind you is that make sure that you dress appropriately. If you do choose to go to a job fair, I'll still make sure that you dress professionally, because you just don't know who you're going to meet. Maybe you meet potential employers who are willing to have a conversation about your qualifications right there. So make sure you dress appropriately for the special occasions. And then everyday life, when you're waiting for a bus, when you're going grocery shopping, when you're going to a gym, and when you go to church, etc., etc. All these are opportunities for networking through everyday life. So another question back to you. Now you heard me chatting for quite a long time. How many, or have you attended any special events in the last 3 months? Yes and no question. Okay, so 63% of people said they've attended special events in the last 3 months. That's great. For the 42% of people, you need to start working a little bit harder on that. One more question. So if I'm going to ask you to rate your networking skills on a scale between 1 and 5, 1 is the poorest and 5 is the best. Thank you for the participation again. So majority, more than just over 50% of the audience here saying rating themselves at a 3. So average. 12% at 4 and 12% is being excellent. With 16% being poor, I wonder, my next question is what can you do to improve your rating to a scale to 5, 4, or 5? So this is a open-ended question. We don't have a polling question of multiple choice question here for you to just put your rating. But what I'm asking you here to do is, as you hear the rest of the webinar, you can kindly put in your answers through the chatting box for us. And then we'll be able to collect your results. And I've learned from you that over 60% of you have attended some sort of networking events in the last 3 months. That's excellent. Skill is actually average. So we're hoping that you can improve your skill to a 4 and 5 and attend more events going forward. Summer months is coming. I know that some businesses are going to run a little bit slower in the summer. This is a great opportunity for you to really sit back, have a plan, set a goal for your future networking opportunities. When I say set a goal, it does not mean that I'm going to meet one person, new person, industry liaison every day. Typically, I set a goal for myself that every month, I'm going to attend 2 networking events, be it small or large, and then meet 2 new people that I'm going to have coffee with. Yes, I know Starbucks and Second Cup are really happy with my business, but coffee is a really good way to get to know people, put their guard down, and ask the one critical question that you're interested in. Once you set a goal, make sure that you follow up through on that action. You don't just leave it as a goal that's a goal written on the wall, but you really make sure that you do something with it. The next thing you want to do after you have your plan in place is to really have your elevator pitch ready. So elevator pitch is really a short 30 seconds or less conversation introduction about yourself. It's something that you can say when you to introduce yourself when you ride an elevator ride with another stranger. That's why we call it elevator pitch. So after this webinar, we will send out a link to the Headhunters website. And there are some really good examples for you to take a look at of elevator pitches that we prepared and we think are great examples for you to take a look at. My other suggestion with preparing your elevator pitch is really to make sure that your elevator pitch is going into a conversation with the audience you're talking with. It should not just be, I'm standing there introducing my life story for 5 minutes. I'm going to lose the audience interest very quickly. It's about showing interest towards the other party as well. As you're introducing yourself, make it into a conversation so you get to know the other party as well. I mean, we all like to be heard, right? So that's the gist of it. And then if you're deciding you're going to go to 2 networking events per month, for example, be it is a job fair, a company organized a social gala, a golf tournament, a soccer competition, or whatever the case may be, volunteer or training opportunities, whatever the case may be, do some research about the people you're going to meet at this special occasion. And if you're attending a industry training opportunities, there will be companies buying tables at this event or sponsoring the event. Also do some research about company representatives and companies who will be at the event. So you're double prepared. The worst case scenario is that we go into a networking opportunity not prepared at all. Don't have our elevator pitch ready, don't know what we're going to say, don't know who we're going to meet, and have no goals of what we're going to do after the networking event. That would be a complete waste of time and not a good boost to our confidence. Prepare some small chat topics. Here, typically the weather, the traffic, the summer plans, the long weekend plans, the kids in the school situation are the typical small chat topics. So it really depends on what you're comfortable with talking about and the kind of crowd you're talking to and the kind of occasions you are in. But be ready to have some small chat topics because not everybody at a networking event is going to be super outgoing, sociable, and chatty. So if they don't initiate a conversation, make sure that you can. Be confident. This is what I always say to my clients and students is that if we're not confident, nobody will be confident about us because they don't know us as well as we know about ourselves. And also be passionate. Imagine that you are the interviewer, hiring manager of a position, and you see the interview candidates being lack of confidence, not passionate at all about their qualifications, about their experiences, or about the prospect of joining this organization. Would you still be interested in this candidate? Likely not. Same with networking opportunities. Be confident and being authentic, and also be passionate about what you're going to share and what you want to achieve in your career. Be bold, be brave, and be persistent. Persistency is a little bit hard to define because some people ask a question, okay, so how many times should I approach a person to follow up? What if that person doesn't respond at all? Am I going to lose my face? I feel so bad being rejected. Well, don't be so, because we talked about that networking is like an investment. If you don't put in the investment, time and effort, there will definitely be no return on the investment. So when we meet new people at networking events, my suggestion is typically write down one thing that we talked about in that conversation. If you collect that person's business card, you can write it on the back of the business card, the one thing you talked about. So when you do make the follow-up, you can make it very personal and remind the other person of the things you've talked about. Trust me on this. I've been to so many networking events. I don't remember everybody's name, everybody that I've met, or the conversations we've had. However, if the person I met follow up with me and share some comments and remind me of the conversation we've had, yeah, that'll remind me and I'll remember what we talked about, and just makes me feel more likely to respond to the follow-up request. After the webinar, we'll also send you a spreadsheet about, it's a spreadsheet that I've used in the past. I find it very effective about how I keep track of the new people I met and their contact information and how I follow up with them. So typically I would do 3 follow-ups for a complete new person, stranger I met, that I think there are some potential business or employment prospects that I can get out of the conversation. So I typically do 3 follow-ups. The first follow-up would be within 48 hours after we met. And then, as I mentioned, make the follow-up really personal. And then after that, if there is no response, I will probably follow up in 2 weeks by another email or LinkedIn message. And then if there is still no response, I will do another follow-up after a month, within a month. So it really depends. It's also about how you felt about the networking conversation you've had with that person when the two of you met. Maybe that person is out of country for vacation or training. Maybe that person is really busy with work and business. It's understandable. We don't walk in the other person's shoes, so we don't really know what kind of situation they're in. When they do not respond, don't take it negatively or offensively right away, because people are all busy. So if after my third follow-up and there is absolutely no response, I'll probably give up at that moment and follow up maybe again after half a year. And if not, I will still do the LinkedIn invitation, and just to have that person see my activities on LinkedIn. Let's say if you do the follow-up, and then after the first or second email or phone call or LinkedIn follow-up, that person says, I'm more than happy to meet with you for coffee or give you some information, but I'm really busy. Can we postpone our meeting? So then my response to that are two options. Either I say, yes, no problem. Can we schedule a date for coffee 2 weeks from now, for example? Another option is that I understand you're really busy, more than happy to come to your location of your convenience. Maybe it's close to the new person's business location, like their office. There must be some, if they work downtown, there must be some coffee shops close by to their business building, so they don't have to travel far. That gives them an incentive to meet with you. Another option is that to give them a phone call. Say, all I need is 10-15 minutes of your time. Let me just give you a quick call. That person doesn't even have to come out to meet with you. So it's just making it really convenient for the other person to have less excuses to refuse you. So that's coming down to the end of the webinar presentation. I understand there are some really good questions that come into our chat box.
Thanks so much, Ada. That's fantastic to have some very actionable steps for networking. And we did have some questions come in here while you were presenting. So it will be great to just address a few of those now.
Great.
As we go, add a couple more questions here. So anyone in the audience, feel free to pop your questions in the chat and we'll get to as many as we can. So the first one is, what is an information interview? After a networking event, someone invited me to that and I don't know what it is.
So someone invited you to give them information, basically.
Well, I think this is asking about an information interview, which is actually good to understand the difference between, imagine being at a networking event and talking to someone about what they do, and perhaps they're doing some hiring, and someone says, well, why don't you come for an information interview? So in our business, in recruitment, that's when someone says, I'm not hiring for a specific position, but if you would like to find out information about this kind of job or this kind of career, or talk to me about what it's like to work for my company, just for information, that's called an information interview. So to answer that participant's question, that's fantastic. If you're getting that feedback when you're networking and being invited to information interviews, go for it. It's a really non-threatening way to jump in and get to know someone, build a relationship, and showcase what you can do without the pressure of it being for an actual job. Okay, another question here. Is the networking of 70% jobs not posted applicable to middle and senior level jobs, including things in government, municipal, provincial, and federal, or are those needing to be posted?
It depends on the situation. So the more than equal to or more than 70% really applies to the average job opportunities. If it's a unionized environment, the jobs may be required to be posted internally for several days and then externally for a period of time. If it's a non-unionized environment, the organization can choose to post or not, and for the reasons we already discussed. The higher level, senior level positions, they may have incentive not to post opportunities, but to use headhunters or to use their internal referrals or people that the hiring managers know through networking opportunity to fill those positions. So 70% is for the average jobs. That includes anywhere between the junior to the super senior.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for that. Okay, next question. How could we draw the line between confidence and overconfidence? So this is an interesting question because, as we're saying, you know, be comfortable in your own skin, and when you're networking, feel that you have the confidence to approach someone. But also, I think it's important to say, feel you have the confidence that you may be able to add value in these conversations you're having about networking. So overconfidence may be, I'm just assuming what this attendee here is asking, overconfidence could be if you're perceived as perhaps a bit too pushy. And sometimes that happens in the networking event, and sometimes it can feel like you're hounding someone when you're following up. So I think to avoid that overconfidence situation is, when networking, ask people questions as well. It's pretty easy to get focused on what we want to tell people about ourselves, but networking is a lot about starting a conversation. And so to draw someone out of, you know, just the telling, also have some good questions planned for your networking events. And then you can showcase what you can do, but you can also leave a great impression with the person you're speaking with, that you're a curious person, that you are a good conversationalist, and that they would like to get to know more about you because you did ask good questions. And for the follow-up, for not hounding someone, I think the tracking sheet that Ada will be providing is a great way to note how often you're following up, etc. But also, to follow up, you know, once or twice with someone, I think is appropriate, and much more than that, you really have to just sense that as you go. A panelist, or sorry, an attendee is adding in here, asking open-ended questions is always great for networking. So thanks so much for that. That's great. Here's an interesting question. How do you network with headhunters and recruiters?
Allison,
Ada, do you want to answer that?
You go ahead first. That's your expertise, and then I'll jump in if there's something for me to add.
Yeah, that's a good one too. As recruitment consultants, we do a lot of networking, and so our job is really to be meeting people all day, every day, whether that be hiring managers or senior leaders that are looking at growing their team, but also with candidates who are job hunting. And so networking with us, I think is, it can honestly be frustrating for some people because of the volume of people that do reach out to us each day. We do our best to get back to people, and then also to have a personalized follow-up. And when we're not able to do that, we do try to provide resources to people on, you know, like we're doing today here with webinars, etc. So networking with recruitment professionals, I think, is important because, again, tapping into a new channel to look for those unposted jobs can often happen through a third party like ourselves, when companies have hired us to find them the best people for roles that they're not posting publicly. And typically what that means is to look on our website to see what jobs we're advertising and apply, or to send in your resume. We have a general information section of our website, and then also an email address that I'll have Kristen put in the chat here for you. So you can send your resume in to us. We'll make that part of our database, and certainly we do searches when we are searches for candidates that would be a good fit when we take on a new job.
I'm just going to add
We've got time for about one or two more questions here. Another interesting question from someone who may be a bit more senior in their career. It says, I'm currently working and wanting to get promoted to a director level, and I'm starting to look at next step. I can't really tell everyone I'm job hunting, so how should I network?
So do you want to stay within your own organization, or are you looking for opportunities elsewhere?
It doesn't say, so go ahead and address that from both sides maybe.
Right, so with a career plan with promotion opportunities, let's say if I was that audience who asked the question, if I want to grow myself within the organization, then typically I want to make sure I do a good job of what I do first. The performance review, the observation from managers are typically a good opportunity to see if the employees have any potential to be groomed. So when it comes to promotion opportunities, there is the aspect of current performance, there is also about the potential to be groomed into higher level positions. So we need to demonstrate both aspects as a potential promotional seekers. If we're looking for opportunities elsewhere, outside of your organizations, we want to do lots of networking because people may think that you're already high up in your organization, you're happy, you're content with what you do, the position you're already having, so they may not know that you're actually looking for other opportunities. When you're an industry expert, when you demonstrate you're capable, people will come to your door saying, hey, I have a really good opportunity. I know you're currently happy working there, but would you be entertaining this opportunity to just have a chat with us? That happens a lot to my clients as well. Sometimes it's interesting, the way up is maybe the way out. If your career is already plateaued at your organization, maybe it's a chance to look elsewhere. But be careful because the opportunity cost of looking elsewhere may be huge. That may be a reason for a lot of people to stay with your organization, even though their satisfaction may not be the highest. So basically, when it comes to promotion, let me just summarize here. Number one, we want to look internally ourselves. Do I have the skills? Do I have the desire? Do I have the potential? The soft skills, leadership skills, communication skills, and those being innovative, being visionary, these are really important. And then if I have all of these above, the next step is what do I do from here? I need to make people know that I want promotion internally or externally, not in an aggressive way, but saying that, I'm capable, I've demonstrated these achievements in the past, I'm looking to grow myself or looking to grow my team or looking to grow my career. So a soft approach to say, hey boss, I'm bored here, just give me another opportunity.
Right. Yeah, and a soft approach, I think, is a really great way to say it. I think some wording that you could use in a networking event like that is, for example, I enjoy meeting people in my industry and wonder if you'd be open to meeting for coffee. Maybe we can help each other, make introductions in our networks. Again, if you're at a senior level, it is appropriate to think that you can add value in networking as well as perhaps making a connection that's to your own benefit. And just the softer approach, as Ada says, to saying, I enjoy meeting people in my industry is a great way to meet face-to-face with people that matter to you. And then as you get to build that relationship, perhaps there will come a time where you can plant some seeds of interest or confide a little bit more. Well, thank you so much, Ada, for today. I'd like to wrap up with just a bit more about the elevator pitch. Certainly the elevator pitch is sort of a foundational element of networking, and it's one that does make people fairly nervous. Again, imagine if you were in an elevator with someone who is a hiring manager or executive in the company that you want to work for, and the doors of the elevator close and you've got about 20 seconds one-on-one to say something to this person to get them interested in who you are before they get to their floor and get off the elevator. That's what an elevator pitch is. And so we have created a resource that is on our website, and we will also be following up here after the webinar with this as a resource. It gives the what is an elevator pitch, how do I deliver it, what should be included, and also some sample wording, because I think that's where people get stuck, is how do I craft my own elevator pitch? So for example, we give 3 different samples on our website for the kinds of things you can say about yourself that are softer, not overconfident, and yet are memorable for people when they leave for the day. So Kristen, maybe you can put that link in the chat here as well. So thank you again for attending today. We hope that this is exactly the kind of help that you're needing for your job search. But we want to hear from you, and we'll be putting up a quick survey here and would really like your feedback. What we need to know is what's of most interest and what's most valuable to you to have a successful job search. Again, tomorrow we'll send out the link to that same survey and the recording of the webinar. If you don't receive the email after 24 hours, just have a look in your junk or spam folder. Maybe it's there, or let us know if you need us to resend. And reminder that we have webinars every month. Our next one coming up in June is on understanding and leveraging your work style and personality in the workplace. So that will be a very interesting one about how to be able to build your self-awareness about how you approach your work and to have more success in your career because of it. Ada, thank you again for your expertise today. Thanks to all of you who have attended, and we wish you all a very good day.
Thank you very much, everyone.